Hey guys, Carillion Trader here with another edition of Trader's Top 10. This will be the second edition of this sort of episode of me flying solo. I did the first one back in December of 2021. If you want to check in the links down below, I did my favorite top 10 favorite Clone Wars characters. I'll be right back to tell you what this one's going to be about, so don't go anywhere. All right, guys. So, like I said, this is going to be edition number 2 of Trader's Top 10. And for this episode, the topic I chose was my top 10 starships of the original trilogy. So let me just go ahead and throw out a couple of things there real quick. I'm not including, for instance, I'm not including snow speeders because they're not technically starships. They don't fly into space, so those don't count. But basically anything you see flying through space in the original trilogy is fair game. And I'm going to be counting down the top 10 in reverse order. You know how top 10s work. So I'm going to be counting them down in reverse order from 10 to 1. All right, so let's jump right in. So my number 10 favorite original trilogy starship might seem like an odd choice, but I've always enjoyed this ship, thought it was really cool design, and that's the Nebulon B medical frigate, which appears in Empire Strikes Back. That's the ship that the Millennium Falcon is docked at the very end of the movie when Luke is in there getting his sort of new prosthetic hand. I just like the design. It's very unique. It's not a fighter. Obviously, it's just a transport ship and like it says, a medical frigate. Just there is like a floating hospital, a hospital in space. It doesn't need a sleek, fighter style design, which it doesn't have. It's just very, if you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. It's just got such a unique shape, that sort of middle core that's very thin, connecting two larger bodies at the front, the fore and aft, with obviously docking stations available, as we've seen the Millennium Falcon on it. Just always loved that style of ships just because it's so unique, and really enjoyed that. But that's the Nebulon B, the Nebulon B frigate, which is a medical frigate from The Empire Strikes Back. All right, moving on to number 9. Number 9 is going to be the Lambda class Imperial shuttle. So you're all familiar with this. Obviously, this made appearances in, mainly in Return of the Jedi. That's where we first got it. And then, of course, with the special editions, they put the shuttle into The Empire Strikes Back completely unnecessarily. It's number 9 on my list, so it's not one of my top few. But I've always thought it was a cool design. The way, we see it, at the opening scenes of Return of the Jedi, being escorted by the TIE fighters, flying into the second Death Star, carrying Darth Vader. Also, one of my favorite images from the Return of the Jedi features this ship as it's landing on the forest moon of Endor. I just love that wide sort of establishing shot. Okay, so that was number 9, the Lambda class Imperial shuttle. All right, moving on to number 8. The very first ship ever seen in the original trilogy, and that's the Tantive 4, also known as the Rebel Blockade Runner, which we see right after the opening crawl of the first original Star Wars film. It's being chased by the Star Destroyer above the planet Tatooine. Obviously, this ship has gone on to make appearances in the prequels, the sequels, as well as Rogue One. So it's quite a repertoire at this point. But I've always liked the unique style of ship, plus that initial impact of just seeing that ship coming across the screen hit my 10-year-old brain and never left it. So it definitely made an impression. I just love the style of it. Just a really, really cool design. I got a real soft spot for that one. All right, so that was number 8, the Tantive 4. All right, number 7. I'm going to start getting into fighter ships now. So with number 7, I'm going with the Y-Wing. I've always had a soft spot for the Y-Wings. I don't feel like they get a lot of love. They're not as fast as like an X-Wing or something along those lines, or a B-Wing or an A-Wing, but they have much greater firing capacity. So they do more damage, but they're slower ships. But I've always had a soft spot for those since the first film. They were just a nice contrast to the sleek, cool X-wings. Those ships went on to appear a lot in the Clone Wars, which I thought were cool, and even in Rebels as well. We used it a lot in Rebels. So number 7, the first fighter ship to make the list, that's the Y-wing, used by the Rebel Alliance. Okay, so number 6, we've got another fighter ship now, and this is the TIE Interceptor. This was a cool, sleek design. So the TIE Interceptor, it was first introduced in Return of the Jedi. We've since seen it in other films, but it's just basically a kind of a souped up version of the original TIE fighter. Actually, almost more akin to the TIE Advance, the one that Vader flies in the original Star Wars film on the battle in the trench run of the original Death Star battle. But it's just a really cool design. I was kind of blown away when I first saw it in Return of the Jedi. It's a really nice kind of addition to the TIE family, which by now we have tons of different versions of the TIE fighter, as you well know, throughout all of the trilogies and all of the animated series as well. We got lots of different styles, but I really like the TIE Interceptor. It's considered what I believe is the fastest of TIE fighters, and it's just all over the place in the battle of the second Death Star in Return of the Jedi. So that one comes in at number 6, the TIE Interceptor. All right, so number 5, I'm going with the Slave One, Boba Fett's ship, and obviously that's kind of relevant now with the fact that the Book of Boba Fett just finished its first season, and we had a little bit of that. I think it only really appeared in one episode, but everybody's familiar with this ship. Boba Fett. If you're a Boba Fett fan, which I am, you love this ship. It's just such a unique design. First made its appearance, of course, in The Empire Strikes Back. We got to see a lot more detail of it in The Mandalorian when Boba Fett makes his appearance there. We actually get to see sort of the inner mechanics and how the ship works. Just such a cool ship belonging to a really cool character. So yeah, at number 5, the Slave One, Boba Fett ship. All right, so we're getting in the top 4. So number 4, the original Star Destroyer. I know we've got lots of versions since the original trilogy, but the original Star Destroyer, as you saw in the original trilogy, it holds such a special place for me. It's just such a cool design. Just this giant, triangle that's just so massive, flying through space and with incredible amounts of firepower. There've been several versions of it since then, including Darth Vader's personal Star Destroyer, things like that. But to me, nothing quite compares to the actual original design. And I love, especially from the first film, which they did a really great job of recreating in Rogue One, because obviously the timelines mesh and the style looks really, really phenomenal. So number 4, original Star Destroyer. All right, now we're into the top 3. And like I mentioned last time with the Clone Wars characters, the top 3 can kind of be in any particular order. However, in this one, this is pretty much a set order for me for the top 3. So coming in at number 3, I've got the X-Wing fighter. Just an incredible design, unique. These things are so badass. This is what Luke flies. This is where we get Rogue Squadron. A whole series of novels, are basically based around the fighter pilots flying these ships. They're incredible. One of my personal favorite side characters in the trilogy, Wedge Antilles, flies one, and he also obviously is one of the main characters in the Rogue Squadron series. So yeah, the X-Wing fighter, just sleek, unique, badass, an incredible design. Absolutely a great job on that one. Okay, and that one came in at number 3. All right, number 2. We're going with the Millennium Falcon. A lot of people would probably have this number 1. Obviously, I have it close. I have it at number 2, but I do have one that's it got a special place in my heart that I just can't take out of the number 1 spot. But so the Millennium Falcon, Han Solo's ship, it's got a long storied history. What a piece of junk, Luke calls it in the first film. This ship says Star Wars. People that don't even follow Star Wars that much see this ship and they know it's Star Wars. So, the Millennium Falcon, we get it all through the original trilogy, all through the sequel trilogy as well. And it's just phenomenal. It's just, what else can be said about it? This is the ship that Han flies through the asteroid field, which is incredible. It almost can't be topped. So that one comes in at number 2. However, number 1, the original TIE fighter design. It is just so cool. The reason it even gets the nod above the X-Wing for me is just the unique design of it. I just love those panels on the side. I would say, one of the things that draws me to it the most, one of the things that just screams Star Wars to me is the sound the TIE fighter makes. So I have to give props to Ben Burtt, the sound designer on the original trilogy, as well as many other Star Wars features. But when he came up with that design for that sound that the TIE fighter makes, it's so unique. You hear that without even seeing the ship, it's a TIE fighter, and it's so incredible. It just screams. I just get goosebumps every time I hear it. I can't avoid that. It's just, I love it. So ever since I was a kid, that sound appealed to me, and just, the look of it, the style of it. These things shoot green, and I just thought that was so cool. It was just also unique, and I think it kind of added to the lore of the fact that these were, Imperial ships, and they're firing these green bolts. And I just everything about it I love. So number 1 favorite original trilogy starship for me is the original TIE fighter design. All right, so before I wrap up, I do have a few dislikes, kind of designs that just didn't ever really sit well with me, didn't really care about, and then I'll finish up with some honorable mentions. As far as the dislikes, the ones I just never cared for much, never cared much for the B-Wing design. Just didn't do anything for me. We see that first in Return of the Jedi, and we've seen it in only limited use since. So I don't think it was a very popular design. I think I'm maybe in the majority here. Correct me if I'm wrong. But the B-Wing, never cared for that style. It just looked kind of weird to me. Next is the A-Wing, another one that appears first time in Return of the Jedi. Just doesn't do anything for me. So for the third one, I would say that's the TIE Bomber. Just kind of a clunky design. Don't hate it, just never clicked with me. All right, so that's it for the dislikes. I would say now let's go into my honorable mentions, which I have 3. I would say first of all, I'd talk about the TIE Advanced, which is Darth Vader's TIE fighter. Like, it took a regular TIE fighter and stretched it. It's really cool. Love it. It's unlike the original TIE fighter, this one actually has hyperspace capabilities, which is one of the only things that saved Darth Vader. So the TIE Advanced is an honorable mention. Also, the honorable mention is the Home One, which is the Mon Calamari cruiser that we first see in The Empire Strikes Back. Just again, a unique design. Doesn't even look like a starship necessarily. So the Home One gets an honorable mention. And then finally, I'll say Darth Vader's personal TIE fighter, the Executor, which we see pretty much exclusively in The Empire Strikes Back. Just so cool. I mean, you see the Star Destroyers, which I had, actually listed in my top 10, they're tiny compared to this. Those things are massive, but they're tiny compared to the Executor. Plus it's Darth Vader's, and, got to give the love to Vader. He's really one of my all-time favorite characters. So, well, that's basically it, guys. Let me know what you thought in the comments. Let me know what your top 10 is. I'd love to have a discourse with you. Give me a like, click the bell icon, subscribe to our channel. And I'll try to be doing these monthly if possible. Sometimes scheduling gets in the way, but I'll try. And also check back for more content with when I get together with Gundark and Greedo, and we discuss all things Star Wars. All right, and we'd love to get you involved in the conversations. So again, just leave some comments, and we'd love to hear from you. All right, thanks, guys. You have a great day. Thanks for watching.